Hello, Kehilat, Darchei Tzion. We're in Erev Shabbat, Parashat, Tzav, Shabbat, Erev Pesach, and I want to continue discussing the topic that we started discussing last week, and that is the topic of bringing chametz as a sacrifice, as a korban to the mikdash. We've seen last week that is prohibited, and this prohibition repeats itself a little bit in different terms in our parasha. And last week we saw Sefer HaChinuch's understanding his perspective on this concept, connecting it to the idea of pride, and that when we come to the Mikdash, we have to come with, we should be with humility, we should be humble. That's the idea of the difference between chametz and matzah. I would like to look at a different concept, a different perspective, brought by Rabbi Yoni Grossman in his amazing book in Chumash Vayikra, in the name of Rav Yoel bin Nun. And that is that the chametz is the end of a process. And chametz is brought when you look back satisfied at a process that happened. You bring it at the end of the 50 days of the Omer. Then you bring bread to the mikdash. It isn't actually sacrificed on the mizbeach, but it's almost. It's brought there. It's part of the offering, the special offering of Chag HaShavuot. You look back at the process, the spiritual process that Am Yisrael went through. You look at the physical agricultural process that Am Yisrael went through, and you bring this bread looking back and satisfied, happy, and grateful. And also another time is when you bring a korban todah. So then you have some of the bread is matzah, some of the bread is chametz. Also there, you're looking back, you're grateful, you're happy, you want to thank Hashem for something that happened, a process that happened, and that you're satisfied with and you enjoy. But usually you come to the Mikdash with the feeling that something is missing, says Rav Yoni. You come to the Mikdash and you realize that things can be better. There's a potential, but things have to be better. Things should come to a better. You're praying for the future. You're looking forward for things to become better, for you to become better, or for the world to become better, or for both. And that is the matzah. The matzah is the beginning of a process, not the end of the process. You're cutting it off in the middle, right? Baking it, because you're showing we're at the beginning of the process, there's a potential, and we're praying for the future. And I think this gives a new light and a new explanation to what we're doing on Pesach. Pesach is not only a way of looking back in hindsight and looking at the miracle that Hashem did for us when we left Egypt, but it's a way looking forward. It's the beginning of a process. Leaving Egypt is leading up to Ma'amad al-Sinai, and that's leading up to coming to Eretz Yisrael, and that's leading up to building Beit HaMikdash, and the Jewish history has more and more things to look forward to, and therefore we celebrate the matzah. We're saying we're grateful for what happened, but we're looking forward for the continuation of this process, and Be'ezrat Hashem, we will have the zchut of seeing the complete and full geula. And especially I think this idea is there this year. We've seen many miracles this year. We've had many troubling and problematic cases. Our heart is full of joy, and sometimes is devastated and crying, and we're still praying and hoping for the release of the hostages that remain in Gaza. And we celebrate Pesach, and we celebrate it with a matzah, looking forward, also happy for what has happened, but crying out for the future and praying for the potential to be fulfilled. Then Be'ezrat Hashem, when we get to celebrate the Chag of the Chametz, Chag HaShavuot, we'll have an even fuller and more satisfied perspective and have a Chag of Chametz the way it should be. Be'ezrat Hashem, Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.